when prediction replaced choice. At first, it felt like convenience, a recommendation, a forecast, a helpful suggestion that saved time. But slowly, something else began to happen. To understand why this shift matters today, we need to return to the moment prediction stopped describing behavior and started shaping it. For years, models existed to anticipate outcomes, weather forecasts, risk assessments, market projections. They informed decisions, but they did not make them. That boundary has eroded. Modern predictive systems do more than estimate the future. They intervene in it. By forecasting what is likely to happen, they alter incentives, options, and attention. The prediction becomes part of the environment it seeks to measure. This transformation began quietly. Algorithms learned patterns in massive datasets. They identified correlations humans could not see. Accuracy improved. Trust followed. Decisions were deferred, not because people were forced to, but because the predictions worked. At first, choice remained intact. Recommendations could be ignored. Forecasts could be questioned. The system advised. Humans decided. Then behavior shifted. People began aligning actions with predictions, not consciously, but statistically. When a system expected an outcome, conditions adjusted to make that outcome more likely. Opportunities were presented selectively. Risks were avoided preemptively. Paths narrowed. This was the first reveal. Prediction was no longer neutral. By anticipating behavior, the system influenced it. What was predicted gained momentum. What was not predicted faded from possibility. The future began bending toward the model describing it. This raised an unsettling question. If predictions shape outcomes, then where does choice actually live? And more troubling still, what happens when systems become better at predicting us than we are at choosing differently? The moment prediction replaced choice did not arrive with force. It arrived with agreement. And once accepted, it became difficult to notice how much freedom had already been surrendered. As predictive systems spread, their influence deepened. What began as assistance quietly became infrastructure. Recommendations determined visibility. Forecasts shaped access. Scores influenced opportunity. The model was no longer outside the decision. It sat at the center of it. This led to a deeper reveal. Prediction creates feedback loops. When a system predicts behavior, resources align to support that prediction. When behavior aligns, the model is reinforced. Accuracy improves, not because the future was inevitable, but because alternatives were never allowed equal space to emerge. Over time, this loop narrowed possibility. Rare outcomes became invisible. Unusual paths lost support. The system learned what was common, then made common what it learned. Choice still existed, but it was asymmetrical. Acting against prediction required effort. Acting with it felt frictionless. Convenience became compliance without force. The conflict sharpened when researchers examined edge cases. Individuals who deviated from predicted paths faced penalties. Credit denied, content buried, opportunities delayed, not as punishment, but as statistical consequence. The system was not judging. It was optimizing. This revealed the true shift. Prediction had replaced exploration. Instead of discovering what people might become, systems focused on reinforcing what they already were. The future collapsed inward, shaped by past data treated as destiny. Attempts to correct this introduced new problems. Injecting randomness reduced performance. Expanding options confused models. Each fix weakened the very accuracy that justified trust. The emotional tension rose as a realization took hold. Freedom was not removed. It was deprioritized. Predictive systems did not eliminate choice. They made some choices invisible. And what cannot be seen cannot easily be chosen. The future was still open, but it was opening along paths already drawn. And once that architecture was in place, stepping outside it became increasingly difficult. The conflict reached its peak when prediction began operating faster than reflection. Decisions were made before people could question them. Offers appeared and disappeared. Risks were mitigated preemptively. The future arrived already filtered. Researchers noticed a disturbing effect. When predictions were highly confident, human behavior aligned even more strongly, not because people believed the forecast, but because the environment had been shaped around it. Options outside the predicted path quietly vanished. This created a paradox. The more accurate the prediction became, the less room there was for surprise. And without surprise, learning stalled. Systems optimized for expectation stopped encountering novelty. They grew brittle, overconfident, blind to rare events. The emotional tension intensified when failures finally appeared. When predictions were wrong, they were catastrophically wrong. Black swan events, sudden collapses, outcomes of models had systematically ignored because they were unlikely until they were inevitable. This revealed the core danger. Prediction does not eliminate uncertainty. It hides it. By narrowing focus to what is most probable, systems lose sensitivity to what is merely possible. Exploration is sacrificed for efficiency. The future becomes smooth until it abruptly isn't. Attempts to restore balance expose a hard truth. You cannot easily reintroduce choice into a system built on prediction. The infrastructure resists it. Incentives pull behavior back toward the forecasted path. The build-up reached a breaking point when researchers accepted the final implication. Choice had not disappeared, but it had been outpaced. Prediction moved faster, scaled wider, and influenced more decisions than conscious deliberation ever could. The future was being shaped before individuals realized they had won. When prediction replaces choice, freedom does not vanish overnight. It erodes quietly, and by the time it is noticed, the paths back are already overgrown. The climax arrived with a realization that reframed the entire system. Prediction had not stolen choice. It had redirected it. The future was no longer shaped primarily by decisions made in the moment, but by models built from the past. History hardened into expectation. Expectation guided design. Design constrained behavior. Choice still existed, but inside boundaries drawn before anyone acted. This revealed the deeper truth. Prediction becomes power when it scales, not because it is accurate, but because it organizes reality around itself. Roads are built where traffic is expected. Opportunities appear where success is predicted. Attention flows where engagement is forecasted. The prediction becomes a self-fulfilling structure. The resolution was not to abandon prediction, but to demote it, to remember that forecasts are tools, not destinies. That efficiency is not the same as freedom. That surprise is not failure, but evidence of possibility. This matters now because predictive systems govern more of life than ever before. Hiring, lending, policing, health, information. Each prediction nudges a world toward what it expects, quietly shrinking the space for deviation. When prediction replaces choice, the danger is not control. It is complacency, a future that feels smooth, optimized, and inevitable, until the moment it suddenly isn't. The challenge ahead is not to outpredict ourselves. It is to protect the conditions where choice can still interrupt expectation. Because a future without surprise is not stable. It is already decided. What the prediction story also reveals is something about the difference between knowing what will happen and deciding what should. Prediction, at its best, expands the range of informed choice. It tells you what is likely so that you can decide whether you want it. It reveals consequences so that you can weigh them before acting. It makes the future legible enough that your choices about it become more conscious. That is prediction in service of agency. What happens when prediction reaches a scale and speed the story describes is something different. At that scale, prediction does not expand the range of choice. It narrows it, not by force, by architecture. The paths prediction supports become smooth. The paths it does not support become rough. And smooth paths attract behavior without anyone deciding to follow them. Over time, the smooth paths become the only paths most people travel. Not because anyone was prevented from choosing otherwise, because the friction of choosing otherwise is quietly, continuously, invisibly increased, until deviation feels not just difficult, but strange. Until the idea that things could be otherwise requires an effort of imagination that the architecture makes increasingly hard to sustain. This is a specific form of unfreedom that prediction at scale produces, not prohibition. Attrition, the gradual wearing away of the conditions in which genuine choice is possible, which requires not just the absence of obstacles, but the presence of alternatives that are legible, accessible, and supported. When prediction shapes the environment to favor certain futures, The conditions for genuine choice erode, slowly, without announcement. The challenge is not technical. It is cultural. It requires insisting that some inefficiency is not failure, that some unpredictability is not error, that the value of paths not yet anticipated by any model is worth protecting even when protecting it costs performance. Because a future without surprise is not stable. It is already decided. Subscribe to join the journey. When